So last night, I
Hey, wait, you're jumping in with that already? I wanted to go first today.
okay, fine, you go first.
All right. Just because this is off the beaten path, I think of what we wanted to talk about. You've been following the news today.
Um, Not really.
So, have you heard anything about the dangers of vaping?
Yeah. Juul, and all that, and people are dying.
Yeah. So
Yep.
apparently, it might even be up to 7 people are dying. But apparently there are 450 ish cases of these weird lung diseases. Guess what's coming out from the White House this afternoon about flavored e-cigarettes?
I don't know what, Bob.
The White House is banning the sale and/or distribution of flavored e-cigarettes and flavored vape juices because we've tragically lost 7 individuals and have 450 plus others with weird lung diseases. So go ahead, ask why I'm bringing this up.
Bob, why are you bringing this up?
I'm bringing this up because a couple episodes ago we talked about gun safety and gun technology. And we didn't start talking about that because, 7 people have been injured by guns in our country. It's literally thousands and thousands each year. And our politicians seem to be able to not do a damn thing about it, which is weird. So I just thought it was very ironic, maybe sad, tragic, that we have a White House commenting on e-cigarette vaping deaths in single digits, and they're banning them.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson took a beating on Twitter. I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago on one of the shootings, and he said, well, compared to other medical conditions, it's actually very small. Kind of took I don't know if you remember the tweet, and I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, I've seen that come out before. Like that's one of the
statistically
one
speaking,
of the gun owner arguments. Yes.
Blah blah blah. So, a few thoughts. The cigarette industry has been around for a long time, and we've known about in non-vaping cigarettes and how much they can contribute to killing. So it is interesting that suddenly a number of young people, or whatever age they are, have died attributed to e-cigarettes, and you've gotten such a quick reaction. I guess that's where you were going at with this. And
yeah,
and it doesn't
no discussions of a technology solution for e-cigarettes. Just nope, we're going to ban the flavored ones because they're bad.
Which is it? Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I feel like, and this is going to make me sound like Neil deGrasse Tyson a little bit, except he's way cooler, way hipper, way richer, I'm sure. 7 doesn't sound
Do you
like
think maybe he might be a tiny bit smarter too?
Oh, no, he's a bunch more smarter than me.
Okay, you just left that one off the list.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Yeah, I guess that's his, that's what makes Neil, right? So, and I use his first name like we're bros. Okay. And we're totally not. Wish we were. Anyway, so 7 doesn't seem like a very actionable number, if you will. 7, compared to, say, regular traditional cigarettes, might seem like a statistical rounding error, right?
Right, like even like apples to apples ish, with cigarette to cigarette.
Right.
Yeah, it just seems. It makes me want to put on my tinfoil hat a little bit and think maybe all this negative coverage that the electronic cigarette market is getting might be driven by the old big tobacco.
Well, Bob, ask me what I think is going on.
Kevin, tell me what you think's going on here.
Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks for asking. You're so kind. I think it comes down to money, as usual. So maybe the Don isn't on the take yet for any sort of e-cigarette. He and his cronies are definitely on the take for the gun industry. So why would you ban that? I mean, that's going to hurt business, right? And maybe big tobacco, also known as pretty much just Philip Morris anymore these days, right? Maybe they got memberships at certain golf clubs around the world, and yeah, they're like, hey, if you want us to keep paying this membership, you're gonna need to help us out here, because that vape thing, it's actually pretty popular. It's kind of catching on, and you know what I'm saying, right, Bob?
Well, you have people talking about, like raising the tinfoil hat queries, but not coming out and saying it because, one of the things that always comes out as part of the lead is, electronic cigarettes were actually developed to get people off of tobacco and have been quite successful. And then they're like,
right. Oh, shit, it's working. So full disclosure, I don't know anything about vaping. I was actually thinking the other day, I'm like, do I know anyone who actually smokes? And I had to really think hard. I found a few in my mind. I'm like, oh, yeah, so-and-so does. But, when you and I were much younger, 20 years younger, it would have been real difficult to be able to say, something that what I just did, which is, do you know anyone that smokes? You'd be, of course, like, hell yeah, like half the people I know smoke or more, right?
At least, I was going to say, I feel like non-smokers back then were almost the minority. So
I remember growing up,
at least that's what it appeared.
I remember growing up in the 80s and going to McDonald's, and they had ashtrays, at McDonald's, because you could smoke at McDonald's. Now I think back and go, wow, we've really changed, and for the better, because I think smoking is quite disgusting, and it's addictive, and it's predatory, and all the bad things. So, of course, when I think of vaping, I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's, it seems better. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And then, these headlines, it seemed like this vaping thing kind of came out of nowhere. Not saying I'm not at all conspiracy. It's probably all shit too. I mean, you're putting things in your lungs that are unnatural. So, yeah, who knows? But for me, it seems like a case of people with big money are posturing and calling in favors, and that creates headlines, right?
Yeah, and I just wanted to get that off my chest because it was a little frustrating. So you actually had a different plan. So and sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
And now for something completely different.
You are listening to the Bob and Kevin Show with Bob Beattybar
and Kevin Gishesky. Each week we cover relevant tech and social issues related to technology.
Our website is bobandkevin.show.
And our episodes can be found virtually on any podcast network.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Bob and Kevin Show.
That's my segue. So there I am doing my usual weekday wind down, sitting on the couch, flipping through Netflix. And I see this show, and I'm like, oh, what is this? I don't know. It's called Better Than Us. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a documentary. Turns out it's not a documentary. So I click on it, and there's many episodes. There's like 12 episodes. So I'm like, oh, it's cool. It starts out with this boy.
Is it just one season, or is it going to be multiple seasons?
I think it was just dropped. It's got 2019 right here. I'm looking at it on Netflix, but I'm going to describe it because there's kind of oh, really? So but
no spoilers in this description, though, right? Like,
no.
This is the printed description of.
Well,
okay.
No. This isn't a spoiler, but it's a word of caution for you. So, I'm watching the opening scenes, and it's a boy speaking in Russian with English subtitles. I'm like, okay, I'm reading. I'm like, oh, this looks intriguing. Then I start seeing actors' names like come across the screen, or what would look like actors' names, and it's all in Cyrillic. And I'm like, no, it can't be.
So like the opening credits?
The opening credits are all in Russian. And I'm like, huh, interesting. All right, cool. And then they get into the show. The whole show is in Russian. It is not in English.
Well, that is not necessarily super intriguing from my point of view.
Hey, this is why I bring you information, Bob. But I've made it through 3 episodes, and I'm hooked. I'm like, this is good.
But you said I would love it.
Yes, because let me read the tagline. A family on the brink of splitting up become the owners of a cutting-edge robot being sought by a corporation, homicide investigators, and terrorists. So,
oh, I'm in.
Yep, it's got terrorists. All right, yeah. Woo.
I was in a robot.
Well, trying not to spoil it too much, but this is, as I described it to you, is Ex Machina, the TV show. Because
yes.
And then this is a spoiler, but I'm gonna ask for forgiveness. It has to do with robots, and they're all sex bots. And
really,
yes.
Oh, that's why you said I would totally be.
This
into
is
it.
totally why I'm like,
so
this
funny.
was made for Bob. And I know that sounds like, is Bob a weirdo? No, Bob's not a weirdo. Bob and I have talked on occasion.
Well, Bob still might be a weirdo, but
well, that's fine. He's my kind of weirdo. So we've talked on occasion about, gosh, the adult film industry, the sex industry with tech have driven a lot of mainstream technology. And you and I have kind of offline kind of joked about, this budding industry of sex robots and what the heck. And so I'm not saying we go full on into this topic today, but I just wanted to at least give you a primer that this exists on Netflix. And I'm like, wow, it's in Russian. So it's like, oh, well, but I tell you what, the production value.
Really, it's 100% in Russian.
It's 100% in Russian.
100%.
And so full disclosure, though, I've watched the entire show called Dark on Netflix, and it's completely in German. I have watched another show, and it's eluding me the name. It's completely in Norwegian. And I've contemplated, and I've tried listening in English because I don't know these freaking languages, and I don't like it in English. I would rather hear the original.
Oh, it's got an alternate.
A lot of these.
Does it have the alternate language track?
A lot of these shows do. I didn't check this one because of the two previous foreign TV shows that I watched. I ended up going back to the original language because you get a much better production quality there. And then I just have to read the subtitles. And I'm telling you, after you do it a little bit and you start getting sucked into the story, you kind of forget about it. You're kind of like, yeah, whatever. So you can try the overdubbing, but the problem with the overdubbing, you lose a lot of the ambient noise of the room and of the scene, and I don't like it as much. And plus, I want to hear the actor or how it was intended by the director, right? So so far I recommend it. I'm only 3 episodes in, so it is what it is, but oh man, I'm like, this show was made for Bob, and I was so happy because I stumbled on it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna tell Bob. Oh my gosh, he's gonna love it. And then of course it's all in Russian. I'm like, how am I gonna break this to him? Because he'd be like, dude, it's all in Russian. I'm like, I know, but
yeah, I don't really like to read.
Anyway.
When I'm numbing my mind, I don't like to read, but we'll see.
So
I'll give at least a 1 episode college try.
So maybe today's show we plant the seed and not grow it yet. That in the future we might dance around the technology of sex in the adult film industry, of how that has really shaped technology and continues to do so, and it seems to be almost the tip of the spear, right? You don't like that analogy, do you?
The tip of the something, that's for sure.
Oh, hey-oh.
I think I actually have that sound effect, so I'll see if I can lay it in there. Yeah, no, I don't want to go into this today because I do want to prep for this one, because this is one that we've actually talked about a lot, and for some reason we have shied away from it. It sounds like maybe you're warming up to the idea. So
I'm all about it. I just don't want to giggle for 60 minutes straight when we're doing it. I can't even get through
we need a giggle episode after last week's episode. So yeah.
So
and probably after today. So today's gonna be kind of light.
Probably qualifies as our pre-show show. Would you like to do the regular show?
Yeah, actually, I thought that I would actually drop the show music in earlier, and we would just.
Oh, so this is the show.
I think we're kind of in the show already.
Okay.
So I don't think we have to do the hey, what are we talking about today?
All right. Nobody wants to hear that.
I don't have the list in front of me.
All right.
Well, we'll see if anybody comments that we didn't do that.
Okay.
But there will be a show open. Just won't be the whole hey, what are we talking about?
Hey, have you ever wondered how you can get in touch with us at the Bob and Kevin Show?
Well, first, you can try us via email at comments@bobandkevinshow.com.
Or are you more into social? If so, you can find us on Twitter at Bob and Kevin Show.
Or on Instagram as Bob Kevin Show.
That's Bob, the letter N, Kevin Show.
And if you're still on Facebook, you can even find us at facebook.com/Bob and Kevin Show.
And for the serious business fans, you can even find us on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/company/the-Bob-Kevin-show.
How's that for a handle? Let's connect.
But I guess we are talking about a handful of things today. And, of course, I jotted down my notes on my other machine. So, where were we going to go after the TV series?
Oh, I gotcha. So,
I got one. One. You did TV series. I got one. Apple, new tech.
Okay.
Air quotes, new tech yesterday. I think it was Tuesday, September 10th. Not that I like putting dates in here, but Apple unveiled this year's. Oh, really quick though. Did you realize that, or I think I asked you this on Slack, do you realize that they do new phones every September?
Not officially, but in my mind, that sounds right.
For some reason, I thought it was every other September. But anyway, so they announced their new phones. Well, in addition, they announced 2 new subscription services, or elaborated more on one of their new subscription services. Announced a new one, went over some iPad stuff, went over some Apple Watch stuff, and ended with the iPhone. And it's the iPhone 11. Shocker.
Yeah.
Is that a shocker? We've talked about this.
Yep. So one of I have a lot of takeaways from yesterday. Number one is every September, as you say, iPhones are released. I look at it as let's troll Apple Day, because clearly my cynicism comes out on Twitter in full effect. Like, oh, hey, we're Apple. We're using recycled aluminum. We're using all solar. We're such a green company. And then also Apple, we also make it impossibly difficult to fix your own phone. And we basically want you to upgrade every September. And therefore, but we'll say you can recycle that device. What the hell are they doing with it? It sure as hell isn't going back out to like mainstream population, right?
I don't think they can even recycle the precious metals. I don't think, do those have recycled value, or the rare earth elements that they use in the development of those phones?
I don't know. I'm no expert, but there was a lot of good tweet memes out there. Like the one that really got me is people were saying that the 3 camera lenses are triggering people's tryptophobia, which is the fear of 3 circles.
Is it just 3, or is it any circles?
It could be. Dang it. We need an intern, Bob.
We need the
I know, right?
The robot one's not really doing so
No,
well.
he's actually offline at the moment. But then I saw another one where basically the entire back of an iPhone was nothing but lenses, and it's like the bug eye version.
New iPhone 15.
Exactly.
Yeah, the new iPhone 15, all lenses.
And I was thinking, oh, these are great. I mean, there was a couple cool things. I like video part of it. That kind of turned me on. But I'm thinking, you know what? They make their solid state memory out of unicorn entrails or something, because they charge so much and give so little memory. I just look at all these cool features and going, yeah, this is just a quick way to fill up your phone again, right?
Yeah, because the hard drive spaces haven't changed for a while, right? You've got your 64, your 128, and your 256. I think that's where they cap out. So if you're talking about 3 streams, because if you talk about, we're jumping into the Pro model now, but if you're jumping into the Pro model with 3 streams of 4K at 60 frames per second, that is a shit ton of data.
Yeah, it is. And so they push their iCloud for everything, and one of their spiels, or one of their pivots, and I don't know if they officially said this, but I think they've hit market saturation, or a level of market saturation, a plateau, if you will, for hardware. So they're like, fuck, what are we gonna do? How do we keep this money train going? Somebody raises their hand and go, what if we sell them a bunch of digital services? And Tim Cook's like, yes, you've got it. So I think that's their big push right now, is that, right?
Yeah, it's weird that you bring that up, because, like iCloud is one of those things, right? We're going to keep making the phones the same size, but hey, we're going to give you cloud-based storage that automatically syncs your device, and you can start out with a small package, which is only 99 cents a month.
Yep.
but you're going to quickly fill that up. And guess what? You can upgrade to 200 gigabytes, I think, for the family. But then, you talk about 5 people in there, that's really only 50, or 4 people in there, that's 50 gig each. And you quickly fill that up, as my family has learned. And then they're like, oh, but for $10 a month, you can get the 2 terabyte plan.
Yeah.
But that's $120 a year.
And
that's just one of their services.
Everything, when Adobe went to, hey, we're going to do subscription model for all the things you can no longer buy, Photoshop, Creative Suite.
The thoughts and opinions of Bob and Kevin
Of the Bob and Kevin Show are exclusively the thoughts of
Bob and Kevin and not the thoughts of their employers.
past, present, and probably not future.
Part of me is like, that's cool. And part of me is like, wait a second. I can never actually own it. That means I've always got to be hooked in. I've got to be addicted. So subscription model, all the things is such in style right now. And, it's funny because when you add up all these separate services as an aggregate, how much are you paying per month for digital services that you're only kind of using? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we've talked about this before in an episode. It's like, yeah, people were cutting the cable because they couldn't get anything a la carte, but now everything a la carte is so parsed out that you have to have 7 different services to cover all your digital entertainment needs. And guess what? That costs more than cable.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh. So let me put you on a spot, Bob. Is there anything that could be invented that would maybe take a step back to not necessarily everyone owns a physical copy of something, maybe like a virtual licensing service so you don't have to buy the same movie on 4 platforms? Do you have any ideas on how we do these things?
they tried a virtual licensing service, I think.
Ultraviolet.
Maybe, yeah, that or similar. I think that was one of them. And they realized that probably no one else would play ball with them. So now these individual providers offer multi-device content services. But your question was, could there be an invention that would take us back to individuals owning their content? Is that what the question was?
Well, here's the problem I'm trying to solve. So let me state it that way. So in the beginning, I had my copy. I could use it offline, and it was frozen in time. Think an old video game. There were no updates, so you got what you got. You got Mario Brothers, and it was what it was. But it's mine. It's purchased, and I implicitly knew that I'm not going to get any updates, and I was okay with that. Well, and then fast forward to Adobe Photoshop. Well, same thing. You bought Elements or Creative Suite. There might be a bug fix here or there, but in general, here it is. You own it for $600 or whatever it is. There you go. And then you could use it in perpetuity as long as the operating system could run it. But now they've taken that away where it's like, no, you got to pay N number of dollars a month. And if you stop paying, you don't even get the old stuff. You get nothing. Is there an off-ramp somewhere in between?
We'd have to double check on that with if you stop subscribing. I think if you stop, now that can't be true either, because you could do like say you're an individual user and you'd be like, oh, here's my $9 a month. I'm going to do it for 1 month, then I'm going to cancel and I'm going to keep that version.
Right. They take it back.
So yeah, you got to use it. You got to keep paying into perpetuity. But I'd really love to know the flip side. Like, there's a bonus here that we probably need to do service to. I mean, yeah, it sucks that everything is monthly subscription. But when you were talking about the video games of old, and I was thinking about, wow, and then you started talking about the software, and I started thinking about all the packaging of those things and all the waste generated by all that kind of stuff. And I know that, I'm sure that wasn't primary objective number one when Adobe went to a subscription service, or Xbox, really tried to focus on online gaming or online content versus all these packaged products. But it is kind of I'm sure it was a planned benefit. So, but it is. I mean, it's a benefit for the environment. That's a lot of crap that gets made.
Let me offer you a counter argument. So I've ranted about this on Twitter. So if we get rid of all the packaging, that's a win for the environment. Most people, or including me, would say yes. However, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So you want that new Adobe update, you want that new video game, great, you're going to download it. Is the internet and downloading and running servers, download servers, and all that infrastructure free, Bob?
No, and I thought the question you were going to ask is that a net gain over the resources it takes to manage the packaging? And I don't know. I think one thing that Bitcoin has taught us is that, yeah, you can mine these mythical creatures, but the value of the mythical creature is severely diminished because of the energy it takes to get
So
it.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. So the big example for me is where Apple, I'm going to troll on Apple some more. I love doing it. It's like a sport.
Well, we're going to totally get back to that because I have questions too. So.
Or even Netflix, if you will. So a movie is typically 3 gig in 1080p high def, not even 4K. 4K, you've got, I don't know, double, triple, quadruple. I don't know what the math is there. But I'm going to watch the movie Frozen with my girls for the 100th time tonight or whenever. And guess what I've had to do with that 3 gig each and every time on a appliance device, Bob?
You had to restream.
Yeah, because they don't allow you
Did
to
you
download
know that you can
shit.
On Netflix, they allow you to download content.
Okay, but not on on a computer. But if I would say the general use case nowadays isn't having the family huddle around a computer; it's huddling around the TV with an appliance device, right?
Right.
And they ain't gonna store 3 gig of movies times 100 movies on a little thumb drive called an Amazon Fire Stick or an Apple TV. Like my Apple TV, I bought the 64 gig version. I'm like, yes, that's got to have some cache in it or something. Guess what the 64 gig is for? It's for the stupid video games that I never play, and it's for the operating system, and it's for all the apps. It's not for content. So, yeah, I will say that, yes, we are saving by not having packaging and trash, stuff like that, but we're also increasing the amount of energy that it takes because we have this subscription model to totally bring it back. We have a subscription model that says, you can't store a local copy because that would mean I would lose control of my intellectual property. Therefore, it's okay if we just spend more energy, use more gas, oil, coal, insert reason, energy generation here. And of course, if you're Apple, you say, well, that's why we've got green initiatives. Fuck you. I can't repair my phone. That's what I think, Bob. Back to you.
Well, yeah, I'm going to just let those thoughts live where they have been placed. I thought when we were talking about the Apple event, I thought the first question you were going to ask me, knowing that I am an Apple user for certain things, if there was anything I saw in the presentation that I would actually be interested in buying.
Hey, Bob, is there anything in the presentation that you're interested in buying?
Well, I was going to flip it back on you because I know you're not an Apple user. As an Apple user, did you find anything?
That's hashtag fake news. I have an iPad Pro, an iPencil. My daughter has an iPad 2018 with an iPencil. My wife has an iPhone. She has an I bought her a Mac Adorable, which is the really small Mac. And
it's really called the Mac Adorable?
Unofficially, that's what the
the
internet calls it. So, I really love iPad. I really love drawing on it, and I used to really love MacBook Pros until they fucking got too clever for their own good. Touch bar,
touch bar,
fucking butterfly keyboard, dongle everything, so glue everything together. I had the MacBook 2013. It was great until my wife spilled coffee on it. Yes, I remind her every time that she ruined it. And then I cracked that thing open, and that was one of the few models where you could actually still change your hard drive. Now you can't even do any of this stuff without hashtag void warranty. And if you want to get around all that, you have to pay hashtag Apple tax, also known as Apple Care, or you're screwed because it costs $1,300 to fix my MacBook. And I'm like, screw you, because they've integrated everything. And I know, what's his name? Jovi, Ivy, whatever his name is. Hey, the shit looks great, but this whole I'm going to make it impossible for you, design it so it's impossible for you to fix it because I want to save a 0.5 millimeter somewhere. Fuck that. No.
He's gone now, though, right?
He's gone. But
Because people were flaming the fact that he was gone yesterday because they think that new design is so ugly that they say he would have never let that happen.
One of my favorite pictures was where it looks like a cooktop. Can Tim cook? iPhone 11 can. That was awesome.
Yeah, the internet is filled with some really creative people. All right, so I apologize for the fake news. Apparently you are an Apple user.
Yeah, and I have
Did you
Apple
see
TV,
anything?
which, I'm still ranting. Apple TV, which I feel is the number one absolute best streaming device there is. And it would be even better if it would save fucking Frozen on the damn hard drive so I didn't have to fucking download it every time in rural America. Okay, sorry. You got me going.
Yeah, apparently I've got the Kevin Rantinator 2000 today. So you mentioned a lot of things in there that you might intriguingly answer this question. Did you see anything in the presentation yesterday that you buy?
Bob, I owe you an apology. You asked me that question like 10 minutes ago. So
I think this is the third time. I keep trying to bring it back to that because you didn't ask it first.
okay. I missed the iPad at the beginning, and I don't know. Maybe it was a little bigger screen. Don't care. I already got a nice iPad. It does everything I need. I have a Galaxy Note 5 that's now 4 years old as of last month. I've eyeballed getting.
That's not an Apple product.
It is not, but I've eyeballed. When it comes time to get a new phone, full disclosure, I will look at them all. I'll look at the Pixel. I'll look at the whatever the Android of the month is, and I'll look at the iPhone of the year is, and that's fine. But the answer is no, not really. Sorry. I didn't see anything I wanted to buy because here's why. We are in lame duck mode between 4G and 5G. Everyone knows that 5G is coming. There's really no reason to get another 4G phone unless for whatever reason you break yours. And the camera stuff's cool. Not going to lie. Really cool. But I know that 5G is knocking on the door. You hear that, Bob? 5G is... I don't know if you could hear that. 5G is...
I could hear it.
All right. 5G...
Hope you didn't hurt your hand.
I did, actually. Ow, that's going to hurt. 5G is coming. Why the hell would you buy a phone right now? This is the lame duck edition for me.
I wasn't really intrigued by any of the hardware, but I was intrigued by the gaming subscription. $4.99 a month. They're going to launch with a bunch of titles, but it's just funny that they came out with that because literally the day before, and you've mentioned this too, and I didn't realize that it already had it. It shows how much of a power Apple TV user I am. But I wondered how gaming would be on Apple TV. Do you have to buy special controllers, or how does that work?
You can buy a controller, but this is old technology. I mean, you've been able to do this for years with Apple TV. This is why I'm thinking they've hit that hardware saturation. So now they're going, oh, now we really need to actually provide content. It's like having the 4K TVs, but all the content's still 2K. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it. We're future proofing, but is there any 4K content? Well, there is kind of now. And same with this gaming stuff. It's interesting, but I'm gonna put a pin down because I have a thought on it on the
gaming.
Yes, I'll just go into it. All right, Bob. $5 is great for you and I for a year. Admittedly, it's not bad. Let's assume it's got a lot of games you'll want to play. All right, not too bad.
That's for the entire family.
Not bad. But here's who it may not be good for. Bob, you're now a game developer on the Apple TV platform, and how much of that $5 do you get for your game, and how do you quantify that?
And that was one of the questions that I had jotted down because I felt like they were really trying to lowball price to, entice new users. And if they're going to launch with over 100 games, like they mentioned something like they have a 100 game catalog ready to roll and they're going to add to it every month, they've got some dollars invested already. And it's not like they don't have the money, but if they could go to the developers and be like, hey, we're only charging $5 a month. How much do you expect to get? So, I mean, that's an interesting ecosystem and an interesting angle that I hadn't considered, but I am questioning the price, and I'm sure that's part of the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a musician or you own the rights to the movie, it's kind of clear that, well, you get it based on how much was purchased. Now, if you were to look at a streaming service like Netflix and whatnot, they are in the model that the arcade's going to, which is we have a catalog from multiple people, and we're charging a low amount to get access to the entire catalog. So it's not as if it's without its precedent. However, I'm pretty sure the way it works with Netflix and the distributors of the video is they sign these contracts and be like, look, we're going to give you X number of dollars a month or total, and maybe some sort of, watching, bonus.
Like a residual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you're at $4.99 a month, 100 games, I don't know if you've ever made a game, Bob, and made a movie. I've actually made both of those. Making a movie is much easier and much cheaper.
La-ti-da.
Well, I'm screw you. I'm just saying, making a video game is very hard and very expensive compared to, say, a 2-hour movie.
Well, you're also not bound to like support on a movie. You write it, you produce it, you publish it, you're done.
Export to MPEG 4. Done. Right? Yeah, so
game developer, you're never done. Unless you go out of business, you're either supporting that game or coming up with a new version of it.
So Bob, are you in the market for the new iPhone?
I am not. My daughter actually is, but we went to a corporate store, which I don't know. So we're AT&T, and we like to go to corporate stores because the corporate stores don't necessarily work on a commission basis. So anyway, we found a corporate store in Greeley, which we were super excited about. We walked in. This was just 2 weekends ago. And my daughter's on an iPhone 6, I think. She needs a new one. The battery's shit. But yeah, that's a whole nother rant. But anyway, the guy was like, hey, here's the deal. Every September. And I was like, wait, really? And he's like, every September they come out with new phones. And when they come out with the new phones, the legacy phones typically drop at least $100. He said, if I were you, I would wait. And my daughter was like, damn, he just dropped like real truth. Like he could have sold us a phone
right now,
Johnny on the spot, and not even flinched. She's like, this is great. So we're waiting to see when the price drops, which I'm guessing won't be until they start shipping the newest phone.
I saw an advertisement. I think it was AT&T or maybe it was T-Mobile. It was one of the bigger ones. That says it gave me the effect that it wasn't 5G, but they were like flirting with like on the path to 5G, which is basically saying it's not 5G, and it's it's close, but not 5G. But we're gonna use 5G to help market it, right?
Yeah, I think that's Verizon or T-Mobile, because AT&T, they're so conservative about I think because they've been burned one too many times on their service areas, but they're really hesitant to make promises. So.
All right, so do we have any additional thoughts on Apple before we kick the can?
My last thing with Apple is just like they need to refigure that aspect of their marketing. That aspect of their marketing, it just feels so staged, so gross, so rehearsed, so intentional.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no spontaneity to it at all. But you could tell they're pretending to be spontaneous.
I think I mentioned it to you. It's got to be dreadful to work for Apple in like the real world, because it seems so scripted every year, and it seems like these people are terrified if they go anywhere off script, which they had to memorize for the last week of their life, that they will be like strung up, because it's just like they look terrified to me. They force a smile. I'm supposed to smile on cue right now, and then, as you mentioned, they're like something, cue the cute video. Such a formula.
Hi, we'd like we'd like to introduce, very exotic sounding person's name, and they're going to welcome you to the new technology. And then the exotic person name comes out and says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm really happy to announce this new video." And then they walk off stage.
And they do the whole voice rice thing, like, and now here comes the thing. They're just totally leading. You better applause when I'm done talking after this sentence, or Tim Cook's gonna come strangle you personally.
I was going to suggest that they get an applause light, because you could tell the crowd at times really didn't know when they were supposed to clap. And because it's bad presenting. The presenters they're not good.
The only thing that I want Apple to do better is the MacBook Pro. Because right now I think they've totally dropped the ball, and they're in complete and 100% denial mode, I think. And I just want them to make MacBook Pro great again. Ooh. Ouch. But anyway, that's my takeaway.
All right, let's move off of Apple. I think we've beat them up enough.
All right.
What was next on the list?
Let's beat up the next industry. Oh,
next victim.
Next. I'm reading a headline from Vox here. California just passed a landmark law to regulate Uber and Lyft. What do you think, Bob?
They're basically they've changed the gig economy. They've made gig economy people regular employees. I think it's going to implode those services, because how are they not taxi drivers?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, 100% true. And last time I checked, Uber is hemorrhaging money, not just trickling. Well, we're kind of not doing so well, but we're close. They are bleeding money. And reading through these articles, it's pretty much the reason that Uber and Lyft do not want to hire these people as regular employees is because it costs more money. So
yeah, it doubles the cost in most cases.
Yeah. So how do we? I mean, this is just California. But this tends to be the bellwether for how the rest of the states might go. They're going to see how this plays out and, go from there. But if those dominoes fall, what happens to Uber and Lyft?
Yeah, other big states where those services are very much needed and utilized, they will definitely go that way, or they'll lose drivers to the states where they're treated like employees. It's just going to cascade.
And one of the big things is if they become employees, then they can unionize. So according to these articles, Uber was pretty much begging the California legislature, don't do this. What are you doing? And they lost. So
because they had no money to lobby with, they just had to ask nicely.
Well, you and I had talked one or two or a half dozen episodes ago how I brought up the fact that YouTube, some people were trying to unionize out in the creators space. Could you reason that creators could fall under the similar thing where it's like, hey, guess what? All those creators that you have out there, the ones that are on the payroll of advertising, you know what I'm saying? Part of your YouTube partner program. Guess what? They're employees now. They are guaranteed minimum wage, yada, yada, yada. And now they're going to unionize. Have a nice day.
I wonder how YouTube would react to that, though. And I think that would be very negative. California could do that. California could do exactly what they just did to Uber and Lyft and say, hey, YouTube, now YouTube's going to have money to lobby against this. But, hey, YouTube, all of your content creators that have those nice platinum and silver, gold plaques and whatever the fuck PewDiePie just got, you're going to have to make them official employees. First of all, I think the content creators would be like, nah, we're good back here raking in, 6-7 figures. We're okay.
They're not the ones who are going to be pushing this. It's going to be the ones at the bottom, the ones who are just barely making $100 a month or something.
Right.
And they're the ones going to have the story of, this is not a living wage. I need more. And then they're going to be getting together and bada bing, bada boom. There you go. I would like to know, though, what is the breakdown of money? Is all the money in YouTube towards the top? If you pick whatever the living wage number is in America, how many people are north of that line on the advertising payer, and how many are south of that?
I think we're talking less than 0.1% that's at the top.
I agree. And that's why I think this could happen over in YouTube land, because I think you've got more people who would be for it, who are feeling like the man or the woman is against them, and they're going to be like, yeah, we deserve rights, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and when you have a state like California that is, I think, 6th, 7th, or 8th in world economies, right up there, that's going to impact. I mean, if they do it for that, they could easily do it for DoorDash or any gig economy service. They could make those, and those companies would crumble.
So,
because they couldn't really do it.
Looking at some of these articles further, it seems that the only way Uber, DoorDash, and whatnot can make money is to take advantage of the fact that they are contractors and not employees. So I think you're 100% right that maybe we look back in a few years and go, hey, remember that time when Uber, was cool and hip, and now it's just yellow cab out, wherever.
It kind of baffles me that California, which seems like it could have been the birthplace. Well, Silicon Valley. Where's Silicon Valley?
That's in San Jose, California area.
Yeah, California. Yeah. So all of these gig economy, it's like a gig economy think tank there. And the state is, in effect, almost trying to shut down the idea of gig economy.
Well, we've talked at great length about how technology is ahead of its skis. I think that's a Colorado expression, by the way.
Yeah, being out over your
there you
skis
go. God, I still got it
very
wrong.
Difficult.
So I think technology
difficult to turn, stop. Otherwise,
is ahead of the laws. And even though it's California and whatnot, the California legislature still has to deal with, the real people who are not in tech, the real people who might be impacted. Because, if we were looking at who gets all the money in the gig economy, I'm sure there's a lot of Uber and Lyft drivers that make good money. But much like the YouTube creators, I'm pretty sure it's not a bell curve. I'm pretty sure it's loaded to one side. And the executives are on the one side that are just skimming a few bucks off every transaction and going into the corporate coffers. Actually, I know they're all losing money. I get that. But is Uber not paying their CEO? Did they not take a check and a bonus? I'm pretty sure they do.
Right.
So I don't feel bad. I really don't. Yeah. It's going to crush it, but I don't feel bad. I want them to go after Facebook next, because I think Facebook's just eating our lunch. And you know what? I think they need to be reined in.
Yeah, I think they probably need to be focusing their energies more in that direction than Uber and Lyft drivers, honestly. But
do you know anyone who does Uber or Lyft?
Yeah, Sunday's husband, John Coulter, he, in addition to his comedy, that's kind of what he does to get his material. So he drives pretty much on the regular.
Picks up a bunch of weirdos and be like, hey, this is a great material.
I guarantee when he pushes the button to pick up the ride, he starts praying to whoever he prays to and just hopes it's a weirdo. He's like, come on, let it be a weirdo. Let it be a weirdo.
Yeah. I would like to know what the general feel is, like a room full of Uber and Lyft folks from random spot on the map. Hey, what do y'all think about this? Is it good for you? Is it bad for you? Because, another expression, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So is it just a handful of people clamoring, and then the majority are like, hey, no, we actually don't want this? I don't know.
I'm sure coming to a screen near us very soon, they're going to have that exact focus group with those kind of drivers to ask those questions.
All right. So, anything further on
what was next on the old list?
You know what? My list is now, I think, expired here. So, crap. Nothing. So, is this the part where I don't know, vamp a little bit and be like, "Hey, Bob," as I try to type for some headlines? I did forget one. Sorry.
No. AlienStock. What are you talking about?
There you go. We totally forgot AlienStock. So the creator of that is now fearing a humanitarian disaster. Also known as the creator of that has now gotten a conscience, right?
So is this tied to the invasion of Area 51?
Yes.
Or was this just something that was gimmicky?
I don't know, but it raises a good point that if you ask many thousands of people to descend on a place that can't support it, odds are somebody's going to get hurt, if not get killed or something, because there's not enough food, not enough water, just basic things like taking a dump. It's going to create all kinds of odd things. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, that's the definition of what happened at Fyre Festival. Well, yeah, because I guess they actually did end up having it. Did you ever watch that documentary?
I haven't. I was going to ask you if you did. Have you?
Oh God, yeah. It is must-see television in my opinion.
Okay. No, I have seen it, but I've kind of clicked past it because now I'm watching Russian sex bots,
But so you did not watch the whole thing?
I have not seen it. Nope.
Oh, you have to. It's a train wreck. It's just a nonstop train wreck.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, that's all I had on my list, Bob, unless you can pull a rabbit out of your hat here. I think I need to stick a pin in it.
Nope. I think AlienStock was our last bit of hoorah. So.
All right. Just one more piece of business then, Bob, and it is...
I'm going to bring the random topic lightning.
Hey, have you ever wondered how you can get in touch with us at the Bob and Kevin Show?
Well, first, you can try us via email at comments@bobandkevinshow.com.
Or are you more into social? If so, you can find us on Twitter at Bob and Kevin Show.
Or on Instagram as Bob Kevin Show.
That's Bob, the letter N, Kevin Show.
And if you're still on Facebook, you can even find us at facebook.com/Bob and Kevin Show.
And for the serious business fans, you can even find us on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/company/the-Bob-Kevin-Show.
How's that for a handle? Let's connect.